Okay. And remind us, can I be started? Sorry. Okay. That's fine. All right. All right, we are live. Let's see. All right, you guys. We're live. All right, you guys. So I have a guest on today. I want to talk to you guys. I saw recently a video clip earlier today, and it was Roland Martin who was talking about, he named names, he called out people, and it's so funny because it kind of took me back to Cat Williams where he said 2024, everybody getting called out. And so he kind of talked about um, different media organizations, Group M, which is a huge media organization that has a lot of the ability to give advertising contracts and things out to black-owned media outlets, and they typically don't. But they supposedly they're targeting black consumers. So I got to talking with my colleague Bridget at the Bay Area Review, and I said, "Hey, would you pop on and let's just talk about it and let's talk about this plantation mindset that some people have." And so she agreed. So we're just going to be here real quick, but I wanted to bring her on so we can actually talk. And hey there, Bridget, how are you?
Hello, David, and On Stage Plus. Good to be with you.
Oh, it's great to have you. So I was just, as I was talking before, I think it is so incredible when we're talking about this mindset. I call it the plantation mindset. I think Brother Malcolm said years ago, he called it the slave mind, where we will do whatever we need to do to be validated by Caucasian media outlets. And we know typically our culture has exported very well, but the revenue receipts have never really been given to us in return. So I wanted to kind of talk to you about that. And going back on everybody talking about Cat Williams, but he said 2024, everybody is going to get put on blast. And Roland Martin did name names. He was like he
Absolutely.
said Essence Magazine. He's even said Byron Allen, who's a black billionaire media
Yeah.
company. He called out him. He called out a number of places, and we've even had an experience with companies that are local here in Northern California in the Bay Area that are just like,
Yes.
not trying to work with each other, but they will hop tail and foot to get onto a white outlet. And I always say, and then they complain when the game changes. And I always say, if you sit at someone else's table, do not be upset at what they serve you. You know,
Exactly, David.
and
And quite
so
honestly, we impact culture and we affect culture on a global scale.
yes, yes,
Hence the reason Pharrell Williams is the creative director at Louis Vuitton, one of the top design houses in the world. And that's simply because of his viewpoint on fashion and how it is impacting the urban young person. Why do you think a multi-billion-dollar company would bring him in versus a designer who's done the traditional route
yeah,
in
yeah,
the fashion industry? And it's simply because our impact is translated into dollars, people. And it's becoming apparent to a certain factor, and we being in media, being owners of our own media outlets, that in fact, there's power in numbers. I mean, weren't we told this back in the 70s by the Black Panthers that
yeah,
you have economic power? But the fact that we've been splintered and fractured apart and everyone's out there scrambling for their own as opposed to coming together within the communities, business communities, political communities, um, as whatever it may be, that you have more. You're more of a force. Let's be honest about it.
yeah,
So that show the other day that Roland really did break it down. I had been using the term that initially, let's talk about the advertising dollars spent by massive corporations here in America. Those advertising dollars, that's into the billions. I had been quoting 60 billion. as a number to say, okay, those are dollars that everyone who's looking for ad dollars, they're going to get money out of that pool. The actual approximate number that he quoted was $400 billion is what the buy on advertising is. So all of these companies are spending money to have advertising. Less than 1% is spent with Black owned media. Now, come on, guys. You cannot be happy with that number. That cannot sit well with you. I don't care where you are in this scenario. And we've got to get real about our economic power.
You know, there's the what's the old African proverb that's if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, go together. And I've heard this ad nauseum. There's either been other ethnicities that say it, and we know as they say, a house divided against itself cannot stand.
Of
We have been divided
course.
and conquered so much, and now as you know, there was one creative who was saying, and I said I understood this point where I posted this on my
Mm-hmm.
Facebook page, and I
Yes,
posted the Roland Martin link, and he said, "Well, look," he said, "Tubi's very good to me." He said, "I got movies on Tubi, I'm making money on Tubi, and I get it. I'm not saying that as a creative, don't do it. Tubi's owned by Fox." And as Rupert Murdoch,
exactly.
we're making money. The same Fox that calls us animals, that goes and
Yes,
talks about Blue Lives Matter and how we're this, and really vilifies one of our children when they get shot, killed, or whatever. That's the same Tubi
absolutely.
that we're reflecting. And he said, Roland Martin said, Tubi just celebrated having 74 million viewers.
Mm-hmm.
That's 74 million. What are most of those viewers? Because Tubi, you can put anything on Tubi. Tubi, I hate to say it, Tubi will accept anything. And the thing is, they do
God,
that because they figure you're a black consumer, you'll view anything. So why should we bring the standard up
thank
to
you. Thank
viewership
you.
because you'll view it. And then he was saying that we rush over there and we rush and we give all of our eyeballs to that so
Yes,
advertisers see that. And then in the
yes,
process of doing that, we suffer and we are really the ones who don't benefit at all from
yeah.
that. But we're
We
still going,
negate,
well, at least I'm on
yeah,
Tubi.
we negate our power, the very economic power we have. I mean, look at what we're talking about. Your parents grew up, everybody was working class doing their thing. Well, the ultimate goal was to own a particular car brand. And we've talked about this before. Everybody, you're living if you got a Cadillac in the driveway. And yet, where were those commercials or those ad pages that had black people standing next to that Cadillac?
Yes,
It
yes.
never happened until maybe what, a dozen years ago, 15 years ago, if we're lucky. So you look back and you've seen very little translation of this. And when, again, something like Roland Martin makes the comment, and of course, I didn't remember, Fox started out, Fox was never a channel until it started out. They didn't own a studio or anything of that nature. They launched In Living Color, the series Rock, and several other series for the urban market.
Yes.
Hey, they blew up. In Living Color was the best thing on TV for those number of years. I'm telling you, it was great. Well, as soon as Fox made those audience numbers and therefore got the money through the advertisers because you have those numbers, the minute they got what they wanted, they dumped that content. And what did they do? They took your dollars that you brought to them and used it against you, people. Look at the agenda. So again, we have to be smart. And you know what? If that's your business plan and it works for you, but I have to call you out
Yeah. Yeah.
because again, I'm looking at the advertisers. I'm looking down that barrel and saying, "Excuse me, $400 billion and you can't find any money for us as media owners?" And that's from the largest, because here's Byron Allen. He's making that same argument. Here's Roland Martin making that same argument. So there is this truth that we have to stand together, shoulder to shoulder, and say, excuse me, not only is this not fair, this is stupid. This is not good business. Because if we do what our friends, the Black Panthers, suggested from the 70s, and we turn our dollars elsewhere, believe me, you're going to feel it.
It's so
As well,
funny.
you should.
Absolutely, and
Mm-hmm.
it's so. I once I said this. I remember I was vice president of the NAACP. This is many years ago in Contra Costa, and we were
Mm-hmm.
doing this membership drive, and I came up with this idea. And this is, just going to be honest, you guys. This is way before
Sure.
Capital One, but I had a picture, and this is before social media. But I had a picture of this white motorcycle biker, and it said "Rough Riding, No BS Taking, Hardcore Card Carrying Member of the NAACP. What's in your wallet?
Mm.
What do you carry in your wallet?" Is what I said,
Mm-hmm.
and they were like, "We can't do that because he's white." And I was like, "Well, if you look back, it was the abolitionists that formed the NAACP." But I say that to say we get into these boxes where we're comfortable
Absolutely.
in our box,
Exactly.
and when somebody comes to shake that, and as Roland Martin once again did state, he said right before Dr. King was assassinated, he said, "We need to take our money and put it in black banks, black insurance companies. We need to fight them with our money because fighting them physically is not working." And right after that, so as somebody mentioned that when he was marching, when he was saying, "Oh, we should do this to turn the other cheek," the powers that be were like, "That's fine. That Negro, it doesn't matter." As soon as he started talking about the money, they was like, "What? Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
He got to go."
Yeah.
And that's when they killed him.
Well,
So,
that's the basis of an economy. If you are going to have an impact, look at the news every night. What are we talking about on all of these different channels? The economic impact of such and such and such and such. So, yeah, we are enough people in this country to absolutely cause an economic ripple if we so direct ourselves.
we
And
are
that's
in,
simply by saying, yeah, we want, believe me, as media, I received all of those wonderful press releases as a result of the upheaval in 2020. Everyone sent a wonderful press release from whatever corporate telling you that they're committed to working within the Black community to have a great effect on the citizens throughout the United States. Well, as of last year, DEI has been completely dismantled.
oh my God. Don't even, if
Yeah,
you guys don't know, DEI is diversity, equity, and inclusion.
equity
And
and
it's really,
inclusion.
it's become, so what was, and wait a minute, Bridget, what is that state or that governor that is trying, that is totally just like erased it from the, everything they're doing from the state level. They've erased it from the schools. He doesn't want any, he calls it this woke agenda. Why is it a woke
Yeah,
agenda? By just having things that are inclusive and there's equity.
yeah,
It's right there in the
right.
name. And I look
And
back,
quite honestly, we're looking at a situation where we're having the clawback on certain things that we're living the benefit of course, because again, folks in the 50s, 60s, and 70s did the hard work. And people did wake up, and we have advocates. I have to say, I mean, let's be real. We have advocates in many communities. I mean, who marched at the same time in the 60s? The Jewish people. Who marched? The Native American people, the Latino people, anybody who is other, as I like to use the term. And that is truly a lot of people who make up our society, who today can walk proudly on the street, own a building, own a business, live your life out in the open. But again, as someone who wears their political stance on their skin, that somehow upsets people. And it's very, very damaging when you're talking about business communities. We are entrepreneurs. We are people who absolutely are vital to our communities. And therefore, whatever initiative, whatever plan you have coming from the banking industry, the financial realm, and partnerships with other businesses. We know people have been discriminated against. And anyone who says different, come on, guys. So to move past that, in order for this country to be the great country that it always has had the promise of, we need to get past these petty things. And I always say to our Bible Belt people who have a problem, it's ridiculous because you profess to be a God fearing American. Well, God is the creator. He created all of us. You can't change that. Get over that and let's do some work.
It's so funny you mentioned that. I often say that back when they had the Montgomery bus boycott, they had people,
Mm.
and they stuck together, and they were like, "We're gonna carpool. So and so has a car. He's gonna pick up these person, take them to work. If not, we're gonna walk as a group. We're gonna walk here." And they said even the buses would slow down and go, "You need a ride?" And no, sir. They just keep walking. I remember, was it back around 2021 when they tried to do a boycott of Target? And the problem
Ah,
is it maybe because now we're so collected and connected, I would say, that we're able to disseminate, or we can't disseminate information or keep it amongst us
right.
because it was a big thing on social media. On this day, you're going to go Target. You think Target don't have people watching social media? And it turns out
Sure.
Target had like a 40% off sale that day. And people was like, well, I sure would like to boycott them, but I need that flat screen.
Yes,
And it
absolutely.
broke the back of that supposedly boycott because he was like, I got to have my flat screen TV, or I got to have this curler iron, or I got, you know what I'm saying? And so being able to say, you know what, we're not going to do it. We'll go to Target tomorrow. But that one day of doing it, they would have
Mm-hmm.
felt it. They would have felt our presence. But we couldn't even do that.
Absolutely.
We couldn't even do that.
Absolutely. And it's simply because, again, we're splintered. Everybody feels that their issue is more important. No, no, no. My tagline is what matters to you matters to me. And who are our neighbors in our communities? Who lives across the street? Who lives around the corner? Who lives down the block? Anyone and everyone. We're all living next to each other. As far as whether you are from whatever community, we're all living together. There's no stipulation anymore where these folks are pushed over here and you're pushed. No, we're all, if you've got the economic wherewithal to buy that house and live in that community and drive that car, that's where you are. So therefore, if I'm driving over this pothole for the past 3 weeks, all of my neighbors are driving over the same doggone pothole. That's our issue. So it doesn't matter at this point what you have been told that you need to have a disagreement with the people who are living in your community, right next door, right across the street. Do not end up being a pawn for someone else's interest. We've got to look beyond this. But getting back to the business aspect of things, there's so much money that is available within our economy as business people. And this is what we need to do is make it plain and simple. We're open for business, thank you very much. And especially as media, how do people not understand media? You've grown up in America. You've seen commercials your whole entire life. Who doesn't understand how commercials work? I've reached out to the various different organizations throughout our communities. And you're going to tell me you don't understand what in the Chamber of Commerce, what here with the Business Economic Development Group, and you can't find a way to do business. That doesn't add up. It just doesn't. And for you to tell me that you don't understand how you can work with me on marketing, media, and PR, then you know what? We get together, we'll have a meeting, and we'll all figure it out together.
So, okay. So with this, and I'm wondering, like, for example, we have a television network. We have the ability to
Absolutely.
broadcast. We have the ability to do productions. We do our in-house advertising event. We have everything we can do. We have to facilitate
Absolutely.
and deliver what it is we need to do. What should we do start with that and say, okay, you're a news person, you're a radio personality, you're a film director, you're a creative in this space. Let's get together and let's start doing it ourselves. And like I said, this other individual was like, and I told him, I said, I have no problem. I get it. You've got to feed
Mhm.
yourself. This is how you make your money. But with your getting, start putting some of that money aside to actually collaborate with people who have your best interest, long term interests at heart. Because there's an old saying, if you don't know what the product is, chances are you're the
Mm.
product. People go on YouTube and they go, I'm doing this and I'm streaming and all this stuff. And then YouTube changes their monetization matrix. And all of a sudden, have seen it? Like, at least over 100 other creatives who were really big years ago were like, my check got cut because YouTube went back and said, oh, you
Absolutely.
cursed in this. We're changing it. At any time, they can change the game, and it's not your
Absolutely.
platform. What are you going to do? And I tell people, when we work with creatives and people on our network, which is not
Mhm.
a website, it's a television network. We have advertising. That's
Absolutely.
how we do it. So we're not. It's not view
Absolutely.
oriented. And when you have that advertiser, they're locked in for 3 months, 6 months, or a year. So that money's coming to you
Absolutely.
regardless. It's different, but we have this YouTube mindset that if I get a million people, and they were just talking about Shannon Sharp, to go back to Cat Williams, he
Mm.
received, I think they said $1.2 million for the video, right? Okay,
Mhm. Mhm.
but it was 45 million views, and it continues to get views. There was a guy
Continuously.
on TikTok he went viral. He had 386,000 views and he got $800. He said, so do not let. He said, and then what's the chances your video won't go viral all the time?
Right.
People think I can sure make viral videos. No, you can't because the public is fickle. What was hot today will be cold tomorrow. You know, and
And
so
not only that,
mhm.
these companies have no obligation
Oh,
to you.
yes,
They have no obligation to you. Whereas we, in this space now, where we are producing content at a level where it's going out digital, it's going out, we're getting these numbers, Roku, Amazon, Apple, and we're actually broadcasting out. And we have millions of captive viewers, listeners. Okay. So, and I've been saying this to folks, you have a wonderful product, you have a wonderful e commerce site. How many visits do you get to that site by your own efforts? And yet, if you come and do a promo on the channel of a network, a channel like what we're talking about between you and I've got 20 million viewers each and every month as a captive audience, you're not trying to fight for a million views on YouTube. God bless them. But how long do you, as a new content provider, how long would it take you not to get 5,000 views? How long would it take you to get 10,000 when you can walk in the door with us and hey, and we are working with the different ad groups and people to say, hey, now that we are pushing this content that is straight across the board, they're like, oh, yeah, we want to wrap our ads around that. Because there are views. As long as you've got the listeners and the views, that's what everybody says. So, again, on your own, people, you are not going to make it. You are the product by which somebody else is making that money. And again, it was very clear in Roland's segment where he's talking about your eyeballs are what's giving them those ad dollars. And yet those ad dollars are not doing anything for you. So how long do you have to keep at this before you realize, excuse me, oh, okay, I'm the object of everything. And again, I say, we, people may not like it, but baby, it's the truth. We have changed culture in so many ways. We just celebrated 50 years of hip hop. Now, who wasn't laughing across the aisle from us when hip hop first came out? Tell me the powers that be weren't laughing and giggling. Look at these fools. Yeah, until they figured out a way for them to make money on it. Okay, the record companies, the this that all of those folks figured out a way. Oh, this is picking up. This has momentum. And now here we are 50 years later. So we need to understand we have that power.
And I think you're absolutely right. And it's touched so many ethnicities. It's crossed international lines. I was watching this thing, this dance off in Japan, and the person who
Yes,
won was a young lady from Taiwan who did this hip hop dance. And I'm like, and she did really good.
absolutely.
I mean, but I was like, it's our culture that
Yeah.
influenced her that caused that. And then I look at it and I go, we know the problems. I remember, was it about 2010 or whatever? They had this thing called the State of Black America. They were doing it every year, I think, up until maybe it was 2015. And I was really looking forward to it because they would have all the thought leaders or leaders at that time
Mm,
in Black America who would come and say, okay, these are the problems. But the problem is, we know what the problem is. You ain't got to be
right.
Jesse Jackson, Barack Obama to say what the problems are. We know what the problems are. What are the solutions? And then
And
of
who's
course
going to step across the aisle and work with us
yes,
towards those solutions?
I was watching
We,
Byron Allen did the Griot Awards recently, and I recorded part of it, and he was talking about how Black America is under attack, and we need to do this, and we need to do that, and I was like, wow. But then when I'm researching, I'm like, well, Byron, how much have you given to help
yes,
defeat this attack?
yes,
How much have you given to put your money where your mouth is at versus telling us we're under attack? Well, we know that. We've been under attack for
right.
over 200 years. So, I'm like, and here's the thing: we do Super Bowl media week every year. This is our 8th year. Do you know how hard it's
Hmm.
been to go to businesses and say, "Hey, would you guys like to advertise? We're going to be interviewing the people that are going to be in the Super Bowl." If you have $15 million right now, you could not buy a commercial on Super Bowl because
Oh,
your
thank
inventory is
you.
sold out. But
Oh,
I
those sold
can,
out in September. Yeah,
yes,
I got the press release.
yeah,
Yeah, from NFL, I got the press release. Those advertising slots sold out back in September, and they had a waiting list for anybody if you didn't get your slot.
yeah,
So again, it's available. And what comes down to it is, guys, I don't mind you being a content creator. I don't mind you being the talent, but I also want you to think like a business person. Think about your presence, think about your message, and think about what it means straight across the board in the community for any other kid that looks like you. I work with a group here in Silicon Valley, and one of their initiatives and the tagline is CUBU. That's important. We're talking about this now among so many different citizens. I mean, Native Americans. Finally, somebody is saying, hey, let's work with our native cultures here right now. Let's make it happen. You've got a lot of creative people who just were never given a chance. And our folks, hey, we stand together and become a force of nature. And I want us, this new initiative, this new collab that we're building, and we can talk about it now, is something, because again, as you can tell, I'm the force behind it, quite simply because I've looked around here these past few years within Black media and said, yeah, we've got folks across the aisles and folks who pretend, they're looking after us. But, until you stand up and say, excuse me, this is a business, it's a viable business, and I want to work with someone. So we are going to be called, which we already have the domain and everything, we're set up, Dynamic Media Partners. And I think that says everything. We're
absolutely,
dynamic, we're media, and we're new media, and we are partners in the effort to make sure we all do well.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
it behooves us. It behooves us to do right by each other, and we're going to go much farther and faster.
I'm just really excited because there won't be an excuse now. So like I said, we've got
Thank
this
you.
this organization, and of which On Stage Plus is going to be a part of. And so people to come in to say, well, there's no way, because somebody did mention again. He said, well, there's no organization that we can really partner and network with. So I was like, okay, what if there was? What if there was? He got this individual was like, well, I joined in a heartbeat. Okay,
Okay.
Say
As of
less.
March
Say less.
2024, yeah, our first big foray out into the world en masse is for Super Bowl. So we, as individual media outlets, we've all been to the Super Bowl. We've all covered it in our own way. But now we're coming at it where, hey, someone like David is going to be broadcasting from the media hub for the days leading up to game day. Then we've got someone who's broadcasting via radio, global, going out across the airways. Then you've got our digital um, publishers. So we're going to have a comprehensive, great time in Las Vegas, meeting people, talking to folks, showcasing who we are and what we're capable of doing. So look out 2024 because all the events that are coming up, we, Dynamic Media Partners, want to absolutely showcase those for you and
Excellent.
get it out there. Yeah,
Oh, this is, you know what? Like I said, 2024 is we're gonna do a paradigm shift. Truly, I'm just so excited. And Bridget, just thank you so much for giving me time. I know you had a busy, packed day as usual, and thank you so much. At the last minute, I was like, Bridget, can you jump on with me? We got to talk about this. So thank you so much for
hey,
coming on here. And
absolutely. I
when
look
is it?
forward to it.
Absolutely. So we're saying this, we're set for in March, and that's the kind of days. When would you say? Well, I want to check back, of course, where we can start
Sure,
getting
sure.
people to kind of sign up and to
Well,
kind of
once
really
we get
start getting on the
home
waiting
and
list.
decompress, because the Super Bowl is intensive, folks, for those who
Oh,
haven't experienced it, and we're working it. So we're not there, just to experience it. We're working this event. We're media. So we're going to be running, up and down, run and around and meeting people and interviewing and covering this. And I've reached out and I'm talking to a lot of local businesses and a lot of local organizations because there are people who are doing great work in the city of Vegas. But the glitz and the glamour sometimes kind of, you
yeah,
know, to take the route. But that's okay. There's a lot coming up. There's a lot for us to do. There are a lot of stories to be told. That's the main thing. There are a lot of stories to be told, and it's all about see you, be you.
absolutely, absolutely. Oh my God, I'm just so excited. When we definitely got to talk offline. As soon as we get off this, I'm going to
Of
call you
course.
so we can talk. But you guys, thank you so much, Bridget. I really appreciate it. You guys, make sure you tap in because I'm going to give you guys updates on when we can start. You can start getting on the wait list to join Dynamic Media Collaborative because I'm telling you, you want to be a part of this. They say there's an old saying, nothing can stop an idea whose time has come. And I truly believe that Martin was talking about this so many years ago. I'm sorry it took us so long, but he said, a dream delayed doesn't mean denied. So here we go. So thank you so much, Bridget, and I will be talking to you soon. Thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely.
Pleasure.
David, you are absolutely a key in our community when people find out what your team is capable of producing. We're going to make it happen, man.
Thank you. I'm excited. Well,
All
thank
righty.
you so
Take care.
much. Bye
Good
bye.
night, everyone.
Good
Mhm.
night.